It's time for news on Luntha television with me, Charita Jalanga. First, let's have a look at the top stories. Pope Leo XIV urges athletes to keep human person at the center of sport. Speaker of Parliament pledges full support for Chikangawa plane crash inquiry and Amari's investigation. Opposition urges focus on leadership legacy as Parliament closes budget session. And in our exclusive report this week, Fales Chizombe highlights how escalating deferment cases have fueled controversy over the proposed castration law amid constitutional and human rights concerns. We do have the details to these and many other stories. Stay tuned. Pope Leo XIV has called on athletes to ensure that sport always places the human person at its center, describing it as a powerful means of encounter, growth, and peace in today's world. During a meeting at the Vatican with Italian Olympic and Paralympic athletes who participated in the Milan Cortina Winter Games, the Holy Father reflected on the deeper meaning of sport beyond competition. We have a Vatican News reporter read by Tandewe Nzumara.
Pope Leo praised the Olympic and Paralympic athletes for showing that sport is more than competition, highlighting their discipline, perseverance, and personal sacrifice. He emphasized that sport helps build character, fosters solidarity, and should remain centered on human dignity rather than success at all costs. The Pope noted that in particular how Paralympic athletes reveal strength through limitation, turning challenges into opportunities. He also warned against dangers such as doping and treating athletes as mere commodities, while encouraging values like respect, humility, and peace. In conclusion, he urged athletes to be witnesses of unity and to ensure that sport remains a place of human growth and reconciliation.
Speaker of the National Assembly Samia Suleiman has assured the public of full support for the Chikangawa plane crash inquiry and the investigation into the acquisition of the Amaris Hotel, saying both the processes will be handled professionally and in line with public expectations. He was speaking in his closing remarks at the end of the second meeting of the 52nd session of the National Assembly. Judith Okan has filed this report read in our studios by Kalisto Sekeleza.
Suleiman said the Chikangawa plane crash inquiry is set to commence next week, with mechanisms being put in place to guarantee credibility and transparency. On the Amaris Hotel matter, the Speaker emphasized the need for timely completion of the investigation, noting that Parliament expects clear findings to guide its next steps. He further stated that all committee reports will be tabled and acted upon regardless of who is implicated, describing this as a critical step in strengthening accountability. Among other things, Suleiman called on members of Parliament to prioritize national interests over political divisions, urging committees to deliver meaningful results and warning that any wrongdoing will be exposed. He commended both government and opposition leadership for their cooperation during the meeting, but noted that absenteeism remains a concern affecting parliamentary business. The Speaker encouraged members to use the recess period productively and reaffirmed Parliament's commitment to engaging stakeholders and to improving its operations.
Meanwhile, Parliament Simplex Chabanda used his closing remarks on Friday to place a strong emphasis on President Peter Mutharika's leadership legacy, urging that those around him should help ensure he leaves office with a positive record. Speaking as the House rose Sindai after 8 weeks of budget deliberations in Lilongwe, Chicharabanda said the decisions taken during the final phase of the president's term will significantly shape how his leadership is remembered. He warned that legacy is personified, adding that whatever is happening in the country will ultimately be attributed to the president's record in office, and called on leaders within government to support accountable governance. Constance Kantemeni has more in this report.
Beyond the legacy remarks, Chichola Banda also raised concern over continued economic pressures, including high cost of living, fuel prices, and taxes, which he said are still burdening citizens despite the passing of the 2026-2027 nation budget. He further appealed for more openness in governance, saying Malawians must be able to associate leadership with fairness, respect for procedures, and non-interference in parliamentary processes and oversight inquiries.
Providing affordable accommodation to all the students and reduce cases of abuse and harassment. Number 4, government through Ministry of Agriculture should immediately release farm gate prices to protect farmers from being duped by the vendors. This will also help government to quickly stock the strategic grain reserves. Mr. Speaker, sir, on number 5, government through Ministry of Finance and Economic Planning has to consider revising tax regimes so that they are not biting and suffocating the working class and private sector. Mr. Speaker, sir, on number 6, government should consider unfreezing youth unemployment and the resumption of civil servants promotion, as this will rejuvenate the general public and government employees to work even harder than before. Number 7, Mr. Speaker, sir, government should transparently share with Malawians the status of staff monitoring review.
Leader of the House, Japp Muhango, has since described the sitting as productive, highlighting key business including the passage of the national budget and ministerial settlements. He adds that the revised Constituency Development Fund, now set at 5 billion kwacha, has been presented to members of parliament to guide implementation at constituency. He adds that the revised Constituency Development Fund, now set at 5 billion kwacha, has been presented to members of parliament to guide implementation at constituency level by Japp Muhango, leader of opposition. The 52nd session second meeting was largely dominated by budget deliberations following the State of the Nation address earlier this year. As parliament closes sign time, attention now turns to the implementation of the approved budget and whether it would address the economic challenges raised on the floor of the House. For Luntha News, this is Constance Kantemeni.
Government has introduced the concept of metropolitan police to strengthen security in urban areas, citing gaps in city safety as a major obstacle to investment and public protection. Speaking on behalf of the Minister of Homeland Security, Minister of Local Government Ben Piri noted that security is a key pillar for development and government is working tirelessly to address the security gaps the country has been experiencing. Piri made the remarks during Thursday's parliamentary sitting while responding to a question from Lilonge Mloza MP Ulimu Msongama, who sought clarity on the government's efforts to strengthen security in the country. More details in this report followed by Gift Kalonga.
Minister of Local Government Ben Piri said the Metropolitan Police Initiative is part of broader efforts to modernize urban security systems and ensure that cities are better protected against rising safety challenges. He noted that the approach is designed to enhance coordination and visibility in key urban areas. He emphasized that the new arrangement will work in collaboration with existing security agencies, ensuring that resources are better organized and deployed where they are most needed. He added that the model draws lessons from other countries that have successfully implemented city-based policing structures. Piri further said government remains committed to improving public safety through sustained reforms and investment in security infrastructure, stressing that safer cities are essential for economic growth and attracting investments.
Pertinent question, and I must be quick to mention that is not the only case. There have been a few cases, but the police has already made headways, one of which is that they have identified the suspect, the name was mentioned, and they know the village. At the moment, the suspect is still on the run, but the police is doing all it can to make sure that they apprehend the culprit. I must mention quickly that what becomes difficult is when you don't know who has done what. But when you know, it is now becomes easier.
Reacting to the introduction of Metropolitan Police security expert Sheriff Kaisi has commended the initiative, describing it as a timely intervention that could significantly strengthen security in urban areas. He said cities require specialized policing due to their high population density and concentration of business activities. He also noted that similar models in other countries have proven effective in improving visibility of law enforcement and responding quickly to urban crime, adding that success of the initiative will depend on proper coordination between the Metropolitan Police and the Malawi Police Service. Kaisi has since emphasized the need to complement the reform with modern surveillance systems such as the CCTV cameras in public places, as well as stronger community participation.
Metropolitan Police, I think it's one of the much more functioning department within the Malawi Police Service that other countries they do use mainly to look into the security of urban areas, more especially cities and towns. For instance, like Malawi, we're talking of Mimi, we're talking of Luntha, we're talking of Luntha. These are very big places where businesses are being conducted. And therefore, we need a special focus that will be maximize security of areas. And these areas are vulnerable to insecurity, where people do go for merchandising, for mining, and selling, but in many cases they do counter pocket pickets.
Meanwhile, the Malawi government has assured citizens that security challenges will soon be a thing of the past, as it remains committed to creating a stable environment for both local and international investors. For Luntha News in Lilongwe, this is Gift Kalonga.
You are watching news on Luntha Television. Now a reminder of the top stories. Pope Leo XIV urges athletes to keep human person at the center of sport. Speaker of Parliament pledges full support for Chikangawa plane crash inquiry and Amari's investigation. Opposition urges focus on leadership legacy as Parliament closes budget session. And in our exclusive report this week, Fales Chizombe highlights how escalating deferment cases have fueled controversy over the proposed castration law amid constitutional and human rights concerns. Moving on with the news, Malawi's efforts to achieve gender parity in higher education continue to face setbacks as the latest consolidated public university selection figures for the 2025-2026 academic year show only minimal progress compared to the previous intake. Data from the selection process coordinated by the National Council for Higher Education indicates that the male students continue to dominate admissions into public universities, with female students consistently representing about 4 in every 10 selected candidates. Education analysts describe the trend as a stagnation in progress toward gender equality in higher education, despite ongoing national initiatives aimed at widening access and promoting inclusion across Malawi's public university system. Alison Banda has followed this report, read in our studios by Constance Kamtemeni.
In the 2024-2025 academic year, Males accounted for 59% of admissions, while females made up 41%. The 2025-2026 intake shows a slight shift in the same direction, with males rising to about 60% and females declining to roughly 40%. Speaking to Luntha TV, women and child rights analyst Memory Chisenga said the introduction of free secondary school education presents a critical opportunity for girls to improve academic performance and compete more effectively for university placement. She further encouraged girls and young women to rise and shine by focusing on their studies and taking full advantage of available support systems.
To show that indeed, in terms of the intake itself, it is gender sensitive, and also that we have more girls that are actually going into universities. We can't push the blame to government. I think this is something that we need to understand, that when it comes to selection, I think basically it's performance. So it's a whole thing that starts even from the MSCE exam. How did our girls perform and how was the percentage like in terms of their pass rates and all of that.
Another education expert, Limbani Sapato, also urged young girls to take education more seriously and strive for improved academic performance. He further noted that stronger guidance, discipline, and commitment among learners are essential in closing the gender gap in higher education outcomes.
Very well in the examinations. We can do this through role modeling sessions and also ensuring that there are peer mentors that can support the girls and encourage them to proceed with the education. The second thing is that we should have more female teachers, especially in the rural areas.
While Malawi continues to expand access to higher education through its consolidated selection process, the latest figures suggest that gender parity remains an unfinished agenda, with the same still struggling to close the gap between male and female participation in public universities.
The Center for Democracy and Economic Development Initiatives said it has called for greater transparency and accountability in the management of Malawi's mineral resources, warning that the country continues to struggle economically despite its vast natural wealth. CDD Executive Director Sylvester Namiwa made the remarks on Friday during a press briefing in Lilongwe. Adam Zamwene-Rupembe has found this report.
In his remarks, Namiwa said Malawians must engage in an open national debate on how mineral revenues are being managed, including concerns over the Reserve Bank of Malawi's gold purchasing program through the Export Development Fund. He said Malawi risks losing major economic benefits if its mineral resources, including gold and gemstones, are not properly accounted for and managed. Namiwa also raised concerns over transparency, calling for full disclosure on suppliers, investments, and profits from mineral purchases, as well as clarification on allegations of counterfeit gold transactions. Namiwa pointed to delays in issuing a mining license for the Kasia Rutile project and accused the authorities of poor communication and affecting mining communities. He has since urged government to engage communities, uphold the rule of law in mining enforcement, and ensure fair treatment of those involved in Atizo mining activities.
Deposits. The noble thing to do is to sell the gold. We should create a circle of supply, so much that we should flood the international market and address our forex crisis. Still on the same, we would like to condemn the route taken by the Ministry of Mining and Energy with MDF to unleash terror on artisan miners. Ordinarily, given the current situation, these are partners. We therefore urge authorities to engage constructively these people whose only crime is to find a way to survive, because the very same government has failed to provide jobs for these over 1 million plus artisan miners.
CDED has recommended dialogue with affected communities and a review of mining and exploration licenses, arguing that mineral wealth must directly benefit Malawians. For Luntha News, this is Adams Mwenelupembe.
Finally, as cases of defilement and child sexual abuse continue to surge across the country, a fierce national debate has erupted, with some lawmakers pushing for the introduction of castration as a maximum punishment for perpetrators, an issue that has sparked mixed reactions from citizens across the country. The proposal tabled in Parliament has sharply divided opinion among policymakers, human rights advocates and citizens, exposing deep tensions between the demand for justice and the need to uphold constitutional rights. In our exclusive report this week, Fales Chizombe brings forth reactions from different stakeholders on the matter.
During parliamentary deliberations on Monday, March 30, 2026, Luntha City Mpingwe Mapanga constituency Member of Parliament, Justice Katika, proposed that government should consider castration, arguing that current prison sentences are too lenient to data offenders. Katika stressed that the country must take bold action to end what he described as a growing national crisis.
Mr. Speaker, sir, I wanted to suggest to the Honorable Minister of Justice and Minister of Gender that the good punishment is to cut the wires to the amplifier so that there is no disco in the show, because they are given 9 to 6 years. After that, they are doing it again. But if you cut the wires to the amplifier, that means there will be no disco.
Supporting the proposal, Minister of Gender, Disability and Social Welfare, Mary Navicha, acknowledged that the vice has grown roots in the country and revealed that her ministry is consulting on how such a law could be introduced.
That we should, the good punishment should be cutting the private parts for all perpetrators. I have to be clear. As a ministry, we are consulting. We are also discussing with the Ministry of Health and Ministry of Justice on how we can handle this issue.
However, the proposal has drawn strong criticism from human rights bodies, the Center for Human Rights and Rehabilitation (CHRR) and the Human Rights Defenders Coalition (HRDC), through Executive Director Michael Kayata, warned that while the rise in abuse cases is alarming, any response must remain constitutional and evidence-based. Kayata argued that castration would violate Section 19, Subsection 1, Subsection 3 and Subsection 4 of the Constitution, which protect human dignity and prohibit cruel, inhumane, or degrading punishment. He further noted that the proposed law is discriminatory as it targets male offenders while overlooking female perpetrators.
So as an organization, our position is that we need to strengthen our laws. However, we need to be careful, because much as we want the laws to be strengthened, we need to ensure that any amendments to our laws are inconsistent with our constitution and also the regional and international human rights obligations.
Concurring with Kayata, Elevate Impact Communications Officer Sanio Mtambo said the proposal is biased and fails to acknowledge cases where men are victims of sexual abuse. He emphasized the need for equal protection under the law, warning against policies that selectively address justice.
From us, from Elevate, we are disagreeing with what the statement which was read in the Parliament concerning the issue of castrating men after as a punishment of rape. Since men are not only perpetrators, but they are also victims of gender-based violence. So, from us, we are disagreeing with what that word, which is saying men should be castrated or after they have raped a woman, since men also have been raped, but then they have no voice to speak out, they have no platform to speak out of the challenges they are facing.
Meanwhile, Citizens for Justice and Equity Executive Director Agabe Kombe has called for a more balanced approach, urging government to invest in proven and right-respecting interventions. Kombe highlighted the need to strengthen police investigations, adequately resource victim support units within the Malawi Police Service, improve forensic capacity, and ensure timely prosecution of offenders. The debate has also spilled onto social media platforms, where Malawians are expressing mixed reactions. While some citizens support castration as a necessary deterrent, others fear the irreversible consequences in cases of wrongful conviction. One anonymous citizen told Luntha television that harsh punishment is justified, saying abuse leaves lifelong scars on victims.
Ena kumapangudwa zinthu zosakhala bwino mwina kuwagwirira kuwapha mapezeka kuti zimezi kumachulukira mpakana panopa ndizonadi amenewo akapezedwa atani afulidwe cholinga asiye zimenezo.
In a ministerial statement presented in Parliament on April 8, 2026, Navicha revealed that most perpetrators are not strangers, but individuals known to victims, including family members, relatives, and trusted community figures. She cited a disturbing case in Zomba involving a 16-year-old girl allegedly abused by her brother for 4 years. The minister warned that negligence in child supervision increases vulnerability and constitutes a legal offense, urging the public to report abuse through Child Helpline 116, Community Victim Support Units, Police Victim Support Units, One-Stop Centers, and District Social Welfare and Gender Offices.
As a nation, these issues are affecting the development capital, and we are working tirelessly. We are working in collaboration with other ministries to ensuring that our children are protected in this country, because some children have been affected mentally due to sexual abuse and ended up by destroying themselves, maybe committing suicide. So we have to join hands as Malawians. Let's stop raping our children.
Under Malawi's penal code, rape carries a sentence ranging from 20 years to life imprisonment, with courts imposing up to 45 years for child defilement in recent cases. As the country grapples with rising abuse cases, the question remains: should Malawi adopt harsher punishments like castration, or focus on strengthening existing systems to deliver justice while upholding human rights?
With that item, we've also come to the end of our today's bulletin, but let's have a recap of the top stories before we go. Pope Leo XIV urges athletes to keep human person at the center of sport. Speaker of Parliament pledges full support for Chikangawa plane crash inquiry and Amaris investigation. Opposition urges focus on leadership legacy as Parliament closes budget session. And in our exclusive report this week, Fales Chizombe highlights how escalating deferment cases have fueled controversy over the proposed castration law amid constitutional and human rights concerns. You've been with me, Charita Chilanga. Thanks so much for giving me company, and continue enjoying the rest of our programs right here on Luntha Television. Have a lovely weekend.